Yo, it's Trent. Hope I'm having a good day, good week so far. Happy Thursday, and we got drug tested and searched in school story time. So I've told a similar one to this because it happened multiple times, but this one's funny because you'll see. I was just not having it this day, dude. I don't know exactly what was going on in my life at the time, but I just know I was pissed off all the time, right? And so I was taking everything. I was going to school. But still, when I wasn't in school, because I was skipping all the time, I'd go to school maybe 1 or 2 days out of the week. And when I did go, I never, ever, ever stayed for a full day. Like, I would be there for maybe 2, 3 periods and then leave, or I would show up like fourth period, like super late to school, and then stay for a little bit and leave. But I would never stay, right? And I kept getting in trouble. And then I got caught with a cart, and that made them start searching me all the time, right? If I never got caught with the cart, I would have been fine, wouldn't have been getting searched. But that was on me. I was dumb. I got caught one single time. So they kept searching me anytime they thought I was high or anytime I was in trouble or anything, right? So that sucked. But on this day, you'll see. Like I said, I don't know what happened. Could have been stuff at home. Could have been other stuff. But yeah, I was taking Coke, Xans, and those were the only like hard things I was taking. I had weed on me, like the cart too, but but I had everything in my backpack, dude. I had it. I don't know how much, probably half a gram to a gram of Coke, probably like 2, 3, 4 Xans, and then my cart, which like just having the cart at school is bad enough. Those other two, that's like Jesus, right? So I don't know. Because every time I'd gotten searched, I'd never been caught besides the one time with the cart, but it's not like I got searched that time. That was just me being stupid and getting caught rather than them bringing me to the office and actually looking through my stuff. So I was like 6 for 6 or 7 for 7 already on them looking in my bag. I knew what to do, right? Because like there was one time they even made me take my shirt off. Like they checked my clothes and shit, and they had a metal detector, stuff like that. Like they did some weird stuff at the school. But I'll tell you this, dude. The one tip that I always had for people if you're getting searched, and it's dirty, but it works. Put everything in your underwear, dude. Just put it in your underwear. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, what are they going to do? They're not going to stick their hands in your underwear when you're a kid and you're at school, you know? So that's what I used to do, right? When I would get searched. But on this day, I remember I showed up late for sure, and I remember I was fucked up at school, right? And it wasn't that I was on coke, I don't think. I definitely wasn't geeking, you know what I mean? But I was more like out of it. So I was probably off a Xan, but then I was high as hell. I would always be ripping the cart before school. And when I was late, like on this day, I'd always rip it in the car on the way to school. Like I would just get high as shit before I got to school. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. It was because I hated school, and that was the only part that made it bearable for me, right? And it wasn't that, like, I hated the people. I never got bullied in high school. Not once, right? The reason I didn't like high school was just I got along with maybe 1 or 2 teachers in the whole building. Like, when I went to the alternative school, I got along with every teacher except one. I loved that. Those are the only teachers I've ever really liked. Like, I respect those guys, right? Like, they were cool. But no, at the regular school, they were a bunch of bitches. So I did not care. And I remember I was pissed off and I was fucked up, and I was in class and I was probably nodding out or just had my head down or something. And it must have been noticeable enough that I get sent to the office, right? But instead of the normal office, like where the dean is, where I get searched, they told me to go to the therapist office, which I'd never been in, right? So I was like, the therapist office? Like, why do you want me to go there? They asked me to go there. I was like, okay, like, I guess so. I don't know. I don't want to go there, but they're telling me to. So I walk down there, and of course, on the way, even though I'm already high as hell, I go to the bathroom, I rip the card again, because I'm like, whatever I'm about to go do is gonna suck, so let me get high, you know? So I go to the bathroom, get high, more high, higher, or whatever. Then I go down to the office, dude, or to the therapist office. Never had been there before. And the guy sits me down in his room. It's just me and this dude, right? He's a therapist, and, like, I've had to talk to 2 therapists in my life, right? Not by my choice at all. One was because I went to rehab and I was forced to go back to school. And then when I got in real bad trouble in high school once, when I got caught with the cart, I was also fighting somebody. So, I got suspended, and that wasn't good. So they made me talk to someone for that too to come back to school. So both times were forced on me, right? Same with this time. I'm sitting in this dude's office and he's asking me what's going on. And usually I would just lie. Usually I wouldn't say shit, or I would just be like, I'm fine. I'm tired. I'm fine. I'm tired. Like I would just say some bullshit to get out of it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I was just fed up that day and I just didn't care. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I wasn't worried about getting caught. You would think if I have Coke and Zans in my backpack, I should be a little worried, a little more concerned than I was. And you know what I ended up saying? This is messed up, right? But he asked me, he's like, what's going on today? The therapist, right? Normally, 99 out of 100 times I'm going, nothing, I'm fine. But I was just pissed off. I was high. I didn't care. And I said, I don't want to fucking be here. I'm like, this shit is bullshit. I'm like, I come here. I'm high as fuck every day. That's the only reason I come. You know what I mean? Like, talk to some of my friends. I'm high as shit. I'm high as shit right now. I don't give a fuck. And that's how I was talking to him, dude. No respect at all. But also, like, there was stuff going on in my life that just wasn't good. Nothing that a kid should deal with. I'll tell you that much, right? So I just wasn't having. I was like, I didn't tell him this, but in my head, I'm like, I gotta deal with shit that you probably never had to deal with. That's what I was thinking. So I was like, I don't give a fuck what you have to say to me, right? So that's what I was telling him. I was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'm high as hell right now. You think I care? Like, I don't. So they tell me to go sit in another room, right? And I was sitting in a room alone, but it wasn't like the office. It was like a therapist room, but nobody in there, right? So I get put in this room and I'm sitting there for like 40 minutes alone. And so what do? I'm ripping the card, I'm ripping the vape, I'm doing whatever I can, you know, before whatever's about to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen. All of a sudden, the dean, the one that always searches me, walks in, and the school cop, and this lady who I had no idea who she was, right? But she told me. I quickly found out she was from Rosecrans. If you know anything about Rosecrans, fuck Rosecrans. That's like a school rehab place, dude. That's ass. Like, you don't want any of that. Maybe it's not related to schools. Maybe it's just a rehab thing. Maybe it's just a drug counseling thing. I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, I do know it's along those lines, but it sucks, dude. This lady came in and she's holding 2 mouth swab things, right? And I knew what it was, but I was thinking, I don't know if I can, like, I wonder if I can not consent to this and not have to do it. That was my first thought when I saw the drug test. I was like, I wonder if I can get my mom on the phone and be like, this is bullshit, you know? Like, I was plotting already. How can I get out of this? You know, there's no way I'm taking these drug tests. But as soon as they sit down, they put them in front of me and they're like, you're going to have to, you know, do the cotton swab in your mouth. And I told him no. I said, I'm not doing that shit. Like, no. And he goes, so if you're not going to do it, then you admit that you have stuff on you and we can search your bag, right? Now, I wasn't worried about them finding my stuff, but I didn't, like, in that 40 minutes I was sitting there, you'd think I would have taken the stuff, put it in my underwear, but I wasn't worried about getting searched in this little room. Any other time I got searched, I was at the dean's office, so I didn't think I was getting searched, so I didn't put anything in my underwear, right? So I'm stressing. I'm like, shit, dude. I'm like, no, I'm not taking that drug test. Like, fuck that. And he's like, okay, so you're saying you have stuff on. I'm like, I'm not saying I have anything on me. And no, you can't search me. There's no reason to, right? And then they snitched, dude. They were like, well, the therapist guy said you were high right now. So, and in my head, I was thinking, isn't there like a confidentiality thing with therapists? I don't really know, but there should be, or I'm pretty sure there is. So what the fuck, dude? Like, goddamn. You asked me what was the deal. I told you I'm high as hell. Leave me alone, bro. And this is what happens, right? So they come in and they're like, you have to take this mouth swab, right? And I knew what it was. And so it was kind of, either way I was fucked, because if I don't take it, they're going to search me and assume I have drugs on me. And if I do take it, well, what's going to happen? So they give me the drug test and I'm just at the point where I'm like, fuck it, right? And I did try to call my mom, but she didn't answer, right? So I was like, God damn it. So I grab the mouth swab and I do it. I'm just like, fuck it, whatever, I'll do it. I do the drug test, right? We have to wait like 5 minutes for the results or whatever it is. So I'm sitting there and I know what's going to happen, dude. You should have seen the look on the cop's face, dude, when the dean started reading off all the things that were in the drug test. Half of them I couldn't even name because, like it wasn't that I had a problem with pills. Like, I had a problem with Xans and Coke. Those two I did have a problem with. I'll admit that. But with random pills, I didn't have a problem with them, but people would give me things and I would just take them. I didn't really care. I would just ask what they did, and if I liked the idea of it, I would pop it, right? But it's not like I needed those. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't like addicted to random pills people gave me, but I was taking them at the time. So the drug test comes through. He's like, okay, there's THC, there's cocaine, there's Xan, or maybe not Xan, I know it's called something else on the drug test, but you know what I'm saying. So they just start listing like 6 things that are on this drug test, dude. And I'm sitting there like this, like entertained. I'm like, God damn, dude, like, whew, that's a lot, right? And I wasn't ashamed about it. I didn't, I wasn't worried about really shit. I was just high sitting there like, God damn, that's a little intense, dude. We got like 6 or 7 things on this drug test. So they go, we're going to search you, right? And I was like, no, I'm not getting searched. I don't consent to that, right? And they're like, yeah, we will search you because the drug test, And I kept saying, I want to talk to my mom. I want to talk to my mom. And they were like, we'll let you try to call her one more time if you want, but you're going to get searched afterwards regardless, right? So I was like, okay, right? But then I thought of a plan in the middle of this, right? So I start ringing my mom and I put it on speaker because it's kind of like a audible distraction, you know what I mean? Everybody's going to be listening to the ringing and listening. And then as the phone's ringing, because I knew my mom wasn't going to answer. She didn't answer a little bit ago. She's not going to answer 10 minutes later. So I knew what it was. Dude, I open my bag where the Coke and the Xans are. I open that pocket, right? And where my card is, everything. And I act like I'm angry. Like I'm talking to the DA, I'm talking to the cop. I'm like, look, there's nothing in my bag, but I'm not really showing them the inside of it. I'm just holding open the pocket with all the bad stuff. And I'm just like shaking my bag around. And I'm acting like I'm getting angrier and angrier. I'm like, you guys always fucking search me. This is bullshit. I know I showed up late, but come fucking on. I'm like, when I told them I was high, I meant weed before school. Like, I'm just trying to, I was just rambling, right? And I'm like showing them the bag and stuff. And then I made my move. I did like a quick 180 so my back was turned to them. And while my back was turned to them, I was able to grab the Xans, the Coke, and my card all in my right hand, dude. Stick it down my pants into my underwear because, I had a hoodie on. It's not like I was wearing this, that would be pretty obvious what I was doing if, I have short sleeves and shorts. But when I went to school, I was always hoodie up, like up over my head. You get what I'm saying. I had pants on and shit. So it was a little less suspicious, but still. I did it semi-quickly as the phone was ringing. But as I'm putting it into my underwear, dude, the phone hangs up. You know what I mean? It goes to voicemail. So I had to, like, shove that shit in there. And then I turned around and acted like I was still mad. I acted like I was trying to open another zipper. And, like, I don't know. They weren't paying too much attention to me when I turned around. Like I said, they were looking at the phone. They were looking at me, but they weren't like, oh, what's he doing? Like, oh, look behind him, Like, oh, what's he doing when he turned around? If they did that, they might have seen it. They probably would have, but, they just weren't. It seemed like they were annoyed by how I was reacting, so they were standing there like annoyed adults, They were all standing there. The cop, how they have the vest, he's standing there like this, like, oh, like he didn't want to be there. Like, you get what I'm saying? I was basically being an asshole and pissing them off, right? But I distracted him enough to stick everything in my undies, and then I kept showing him all the other pockets in my bag, and then for the final act of my plan, I just dump everything in my backpack out on the table, because I knew there was nothing bad in there anymore. So I just dump everything out, and I'm like, go ahead, take a fucking look, and I toss my bag to the side, like I was like over it, you know what I mean? Like I was mad in real life, but also I was putting on a little bit of a performance here, because like, you know what I mean? But also, it didn't take much for me to get mad at this dean, so I didn't really care about arguing with them, right? So they search my shit. They don't find a single thing. They send me back to class, dude. While I'm, like, after the drug test told them I had all those things in my system, they still send me back to class. And that was maybe 6th or 7th period. We had 9 periods. I still left early, dude. I still left early that day. Got home, and, obviously I didn't walk all the way home with drugs in my underwear. I put it back in my bag, but still, dude, that was intense, getting drug tested and searched in school, but they didn't find shit. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Sub, share, like, comment, and if you're going through something, my Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, a bunch of things are in my YouTube bio, so just go there, DM me, whatever. I'll get back to you within a day or two. Thanks for watching. Be safe. Peace out.